So today we are going to discuss about the topic called Ansible. What is meant by Ansible and how it will be helpful in the organizations means. So Ansible is called configuration management tool. Configuration management tool. What is meant by configuration management tool means, so whenever we are planning to deploy some application, so along with the code base, it needs to have some configuration as well. So maybe it needs to install some packages on the server where you are trying to deploy your artifact, and it needs to have some users maybe created, or it needs to be have some permissions to some particular paths. Okay, a lot of configuration needs to be prepared in advance before deploying your application. And if you have a lot of servers, let's say some hundreds of servers are there, you want to manage all those servers. Maybe you want to install some patch, some software patch, some upgrade needs to be installed. So every time we can't able to log into the servers manually. So for that, we will depend on any one of the configuration management tool. Okay. So there are lot of configuration management tools are available currently in the market. The competitors for these Ansible are, there is a Chef tool is there, Puppet is there, Ansible is there, Salt Stack is there, like that different tools which are available in the market. So currently AWS also they have developed their own tool which is called AWS Systems Manager. Inside AWS also they are planning to develop some tool which is called AWS Systems Manager, which is will replace the Ansible. Okay, whatever the task that Ansible is going to do. So inside the Systems Manager there is a run command option is there. So which is going to do the similar activity. So what all is going to do? How the structure will look like? How the Ansible will look like means. Let me draw some picture. Suppose let's say I have some hundreds of servers are there in my team. Let's say we are using in we are working in a team, and in that team we have some thousands of servers or have some hundreds of servers are there. So which are different, maybe different environments, okay? Different environments and different applications that we are going to deploy inside those servers. Suppose let's say first three are belongs to some dev environment. Next two are belongs to some prod environment. Something like that, hundreds of servers are there. For example, here I have defined some 5 servers, okay? So these servers, you can call it as nodes in Ansible terminology. Similarly, we will create one more server in order to manage all these servers, in order to control or in order to install some packages or in order to upgrade some patches or in order to create some users inside this and in order to manage some permissions of some particular folders and all. Okay. For all these activity, you can create one server which is called master server, Ansible master. Okay, so the first server that we are going to create now in our session is called the Ansible master, and the servers for in order to test this Ansible configuration, we will create at least one or two nodes. So we will try to make a connectivity between the master to the node server. Okay, so the master server can able to connect to the node server. So something like that, if hundreds of servers are there, all those servers needs to be connected to the master server. So why? Because master server will maintain one file which is called inventory file. Okay, so usually the file name we will create it as host file, and inside the host file, let's say the file will be look like this. Suppose let's say 10 dot 10 dot something 20 dot 30 dot 40. Let's say this is one of the IP address of the node machine. Let's say Here I will say this is 10.20.30.40. This is the IP address of the node 1. Let's say this is node 1. So node 1 IP I'll maintain in one file which is called inventory file. The inventory file name will be host file. Okay, host. With the name host, we will create a file that is called inventory file, which is very important in Ansible master slave configuration. In interviews also you may get this question. What is inventory in Ansible? What is inventory file? Okay, what is the default location of the inventory file? These are the different questions you may come across. So we'll see where default this file will get created and all also. For now, we will create one host file. Inside the host file, all the machines that you want to control with the help of Ansible master, that will be maintained inside this file. Okay, suppose let's say there is one more IP, 20.30.40.50. For example, this is the one IP address of this server. So that also will be maintained, 20.30.40.50. So this you can call it as node 2. So all these IP addresses are, if it has some domain names or the host names, that also you can manage instead of IP addresses only. Suppose let's say my server IP will be, this is called one of the Jenkins server, for example, jenkins.com. This is this is not meant by the original Jenkins URL. Just I am telling, if you have created some domain name, custom domain name, for example, jenkinsserver.com. If you have some domain name like this and you have linked your Jenkins server, some domain name you will use. Every organization, they'll create some domain name that will be linked with the Jenkins server IP so that they will directly access the URL of the Jenkins server, right? HTTPS colon double slash jenkinsservers.com if they hit, so that they can redirect to that Jenkins server which they are maintaining in their organization and they can see the URL. Okay, so my intention is whether you can maintain your IP address of this node machine or you can maintain the endpoint, the host name. Suppose let's say this host name is jenkinsservers.com. Let's say this is the host name of my server. Instead of IP address, you can maintain the host name also. So now my Ansible master server is created and my couple of node servers are there. So I have created a host file in my Ansible master. So now what I can do, how I can able to execute some commands over node machines, so that I need to maintain the node in a particular state. In a particular state means maybe it needs to have this particular version of the software. This needs to have this particular user get created like that. Okay. For that, here you can write some command. So there is a option which is called ad hoc commands is there. So you can write that command inside the Ansible master and you can execute that command by targeting some particular node machine. Okay. Or you can execute one more option is there instead of ad hoc command. Ad hoc command is nothing but, suppose if you are trying to install one user on the node 1 without login to node 1 from the master, you can execute one command by targeting node 1 IP address. It will get executed. So that particular user will get created on the node 1. Similarly, node 2, I want to install some package, then you can able to install that package as well from the Ansible master itself without login to the node 2 server. For that, the command you will get to execute, that is called Ansible ad hoc command. So the next option, suppose let's say I have to do multiple tasks instead of executing one ad hoc command. Let's say I want to do some multiple tasks. Okay, all the tasks you can maintain in one Ansible playbook. There is a concept called playbook. Playbook will consist of multiple tasks. Okay, multiple tasks will be maintained inside the playbook. So the playbook will be written in Ansible master and the playbook will get executed against this host file. Whether you can point the entire host file. so that all the IP addresses which are maintained inside that host file will get executed that playbook, or you can define some particular IP address, one particular IP address, one particular host name also you can specify, or inside this host file, you can maintain some group of IP addresses also. Suppose, let's say these two IPs which are belongs to some dev environment kind of thing. I can create a folder inside this host file. Maybe I can create some section kind of thing, subsection. Uh, which denotes that these two IP addresses are belongs to one particular category, one particular use case. Okay, for that you can define, let's say like this. I want to define this as dev. For example, the first two are belongs to dev. Let's say next one will be belongs to prod. So usually we have to define like this in advance. We will create a host file. At the time you can see that how I am going to define. So whenever I execute that Ansible playbook on the dev, so that it is going to execute on the two IP addresses instead of all the node machines, it will try to execute on the particular set of the node machines. Okay. So like that, you can execute ad-hoc command, or you can execute playbook on one machine or some group of machines or all the machines. That is the intention of this host file maintenance. And after the Ansible playbook, we have a concept called roles. We will go and execute that roles, how to create a role and how to execute that role also we will see. Maybe it will be covered in tomorrow's session. But for today, we will try to set up the Ansible master, and at least we'll try to set up one or two node machines, and we will try to establish the connectivity between them. So this is very important, how we can establish the connectivity between them. So how these will connect means with the help of SSH, these will be communicated. SSH means it will use 22 port number. We need to have the connectivity without any username and password. These can able to log in from the Ansible master to the Ansible slave. So with the help of SSH. So for that we have to make that connectivity. So Ansible master directly can able to connect to the node one. It doesn't ask any password kind of thing. We will make that configuration set up in advance. Okay. So now let me go to my AWS account and I'll try to create one EC2 machine for my Ansible master. So let me go to EC2. And inside the EC2, if you can see, Jenkins is already there. Let's keep that as it is. Now you are going to launch one more instance, which is Ansible master. Okay. So you can call that as Ansible master. And one more thing I forgot to explain. So here, what it is trying to do, whatever the command or the playbook that we are writing, we are going to push that one to the target environment, right? So that's why this is called push-based architecture. Okay, Ansible is called push-based architecture. But if you compare the architecture of either Chef or Puppet, it is going to the node missions is going to pull the configuration, okay, from the main server. So that we will call it as pull based architecture. Chef and Puppet will look like somewhat similar, but Ansible is different. So here we will try to push that architecture from the master server to the node server. That's why we can call this as push based architecture. And here there is no concept of agent and all. So we will call this as agentless configuration management tool also. Agentless configuration management tool. In Ansible and Puppet, we will call all these machines, right? Instead of nodes, they will call it as agents. So there we will call it as agent tools. This is called agentless configuration tool. Okay. So now let me go to Ansible master I'm trying to create. So let's create one of the Ubuntu instance. And Ubuntu, let me try to select some Ubuntu, whether 18 is there. Yeah, Ubuntu 18 is there. Let me try to proceed with this because I have created earlier with this one. I haven't tried the latest, but you can try with the latest also, it will work. So T2.micro for free tier eligibility. It doesn't require any amount to be paid for AWS. Keep here, let me use this. So for now, SSH, it will be allowed for everyone. That will be fine. And disk size, okay, 8 GB size will be sufficient for my uh, Ansible master. So let's proceed with that. And number of instances, one. Okay. So let me click on launch instance. So once my instance is running, so you can connect to that instance by using putty or mobile from any one of the tool. And then you can try to install Ansible. In order to install Ansible, uh, we need to have some setup needs to be done in advance. Okay, we will see that. For that, I have some installation guide is there, so we can try to use that one. Here you can see I have maintained whatever we have discussed till now, right? That I maintained over here. So Ansible is an open source software provisioning and configuration management tool, so which will be helpful to deploy the applications also. Okay. So, and Ansible is called agentless or push-based configuration management tool. And inside the Ansible, we can see this one, inventory configuration or inventory file. So, which will hold all the IP addresses or the host names of the node machines. So, here they have given an example of the inventory file. One IP address followed by two domain names or two host names are maintained, but these two host names are maintained with some group name which is called web servers. So whenever you want to execute some operation on these two, instead of using, you can try to use this web servers so that it will get executed on the two. And there is a concept of modules is there inside the Ansible. Modules are nothing but some predefined code kind of thing. So means we can write the code either in Python, Perl, Ruby, Bash, any one of these scripting kind of thing you can able to write, which can able to reuse going forward. If you want to reuse that piece of code, you can able to use this particular option. Okay. For now, we will try to see how we can install Ansible master and all. And there is concept of Ansible tower is there. Some of the organizations they will use. This is a licensed model. Normal Ansible, it doesn't require to pay any license. Okay, but Ansible tower is a consists of some UI where you can able to do all these things instead of doing the things on command line. You can have some UI, so which you have to pay some license. And now I'm going to create one Ubuntu instance and I'm trying to update some packages, trying to install some prerequisites which are required over here in these two commands. And next I'm trying to install the Ansible with the help of this command. So once the Ansible is installed, where you can check the version, whether the particular Ansible got installed or not. So once it is installed, you can check that version where currently Ansible got installed. So that is the default location. So in interviews, they may ask what is the default path of the Ansible and all. What is the default path of the inventory file, something like that. Once the Ansible got installed, it doesn't require to maintain at the default location. You can create your own folder and you can change the path of the Ansible to that particular folder as well. Here we are changing that configuration file to one specific folder so that whenever I hit the Ansible version, I can see the changed path of the uh, Ansible configuration file. Okay, so that every time if I am trying to execute Ansible ad-hoc command or Ansible playbook, it will try to see uh, your configuration file and your path as well. Where is your configuration file? That particular path will be identified. Okay, you will maintain your commands or you will maintain your playbooks, everything inside that particular file. Now we will see how that will work. First, let's see whether you have your instance running or not. Yeah, now my instance is up and running. Let me try to connect to that instance by using putty. This is my putty software which I have installed. And I have created Ubuntu server, right? Let me use Ubuntu at the rate IP address. Now I'm going to provide my key pair. So Fanindra.ppk file, which I am going to use, because earlier I have used Fanindra key pair, right? So that's why I have used that. Now I'm able to connect to my Ansible master, but I haven't installed Ansible in it. Suppose if you are checking Ansible first and you can see Ansible command not found. You can able to install Ansible with the help of this command. Directly you can do with the help of this, but better to try with some of these commands which I have mentioned in the documentation. Okay. So first sudo su hyphen, which will be helpful to switch to the root user instead of uh, Ubuntu user. I can able to switch to the root user so that it doesn't require to use the sudo command every time. Sudo su hyphen will be helpful to switch to the root user. If you can see, currently from earlier Ubuntu user to root user, I have switched. And now I'm trying to update the packages. So every time, if you are trying to install some packages, it's better to use the update command first. That's why apt-get update. So apt-get is one of the package that you need to use in order to install something on the Ubuntu servers. Suppose if it is a Red Hat or if it is a Amazon Linux machines, you have to use yum command. Yum command you have to use. So now update command got executed. Let me try to copy one by one. I'll give this documentation in order to execute the Ansible things. So now this is the actual command to install the Ansible. After this, you can check the version, your Ansible get installed. There is an option to change the font size. Let me try that. Okay, I'll try later. So there is an option to change the font size. Okay, for now, let me try to install the Ansible. Yes, I want to install my Ansible. So Ansible master setup is one-time activity, right? But we have to be careful. If something goes wrong, again, we have to delete that instance. And so first, Ansible master setup is very uh, careful. Once it is done, first node setup is also very important. Once it is done, you can reuse that same node by creating a snapshot. You can reuse that same for the remaining machines and all. Okay. So now my Ansible got installed. How to know? You can check Ansible hyphen hyphen version. Now my Ansible got installed and the config file location is /etc/Ansible ansible.cfg. And what is the version got installed? 2.9.27. So now instead of maintaining your Ansible file in this location, what we will do, we are going to create one test folder and we will copy your Ansible file to the test folder. And once we went to the test folder and if we execute the Ansible version, it will try to point to that configuration file only. Okay. So mkdir/test. So mkdir will be helpful. It is a Linux command which will be helpful to create one directory or create one folder in Linux server. Okay. So let me execute that. And if you can see ls, currently you are not seeing anything because you are there. If you see the pwd command, you are there at /root path. If you go to the /path where you can test folder as well. Okay. Suppose ls space slash, if you see, you can see one test folder got created. Here the test folder is there. So now go to the test folder. Once inside that test folder, if you can, whether we copied that or not, we haven't copied, right? So now I'm going to that test folder, but if I execute Ansible hyphen hyphen version, still it is pointing to the older path, right? We have to copy that from your older path slash etc slash ansible.cfz to my current path. Let's say slash test. Now if I execute same command ansible hyphen hyphen version, if you can see, it is pointing to my current path because my Ansible configuration file got moved from there to here. Okay. So going forward, we can able to work everything, whatever we are going to create, the playbooks and all, we will create inside this test folder. And inside the test folder, it has the configuration file so that it can able to recognize. Okay. Now we need one more file, right? Instead of this configuration file of the Ansible, in order to work, we need one more file that I told you, right? Inventory file. Inventory file we can create with the name host. So let me create one more file host. So you can use nano command also to create something. Nano host, and inside the nano file, you can maintain like this. Create a file with the name host, and you can maintain that with the help of this all hosts, something like this. But here, what you have to do, you have to get the IP address of your server. Currently, you can use the directly private IP instead of public because public IP will get rotate every time, right? If you stop and start your server. So better to use, this is the private IP of my current server, which I have logged it. You can use your uh, Ansible master server also for testing purpose. For now, I'll be using the same one because I haven't created any node for now. So in order to exit from the nano editor, Control O, enter, Control X. Now my file got created. If you can see ls command, my host file got created. If you want to see the content of that host file, you can see my IP address of my master server got maintained inside that one. So this is the one of the command to test the verification. Ansible, I'm pointing my inventory file, Ansible hyphen host hyphen m is nothing but module, hyphen I is nothing but inventory. So this is my inventory file, and hyphen m is nothing but module. I told you, right? Module is nothing but some predefined code, some predefined modules which are written already. We can able to reuse them. Suppose here hyphen m followed by ping is nothing but ping will be helpful to test the connectivity, whether my server is reachable or not with the help of Ansible. So with the help of Ansible, whether I am able to reachable my server or not, it is can check with the help of this command. Okay. So now let me try with this command. Ansible hyphen hi. My host file is there in the current path only. That's why I'm directly using the file. Suppose if my I'm there at some different path, then I have to use that exact path. Where is my host file? Okay. Currently, I already there in my test path. Inside that only I have my host file, so that I can directly use hyphen hi host file location, and then followed by hyphen m. I want to check the connectivity, whether I am able to reachable my Ansible master server from the same server, but with the help of Ansible or not. Okay. So let me click on this command, and you can give the confirmation as yes, but it is not reachable. Why? Because so it has some restrictions, because it will expect some password, or it will expect some if you want to connect to one server, one Linux server to some other Linux server, you have to use either username password based authentication or username and key pair based authentication. Any one of these things needs to be done. Currently, it doesn't have that configuration set up in advance. That's why we are able to unreach that particular server. So next step, where I have explained how you can able to do that setup. So first, I will be using cd command so that I'll be getting out of that test folder. If you can see cd command, I'll be moving out from the test folder. Currently, I'm there at normal slash root path. So here you can do one thing. Nano, there is one already created file which is called configuration file of the SSH. Okay, so how Ansible has some configuration file. Similarly, our SSH service, which is going to run in Linux server, also has some configuration file. You can try. This is the default path of that configuration file. Okay, these are important. What is the default configuration of the Ansible after you install Ansible? What is the default configuration path of the SSH? Some of them they will ask these questions. Now, I'll be going and I am trying to make some changes over there. For that, I am editing that file in Nano Editor. You can use Nano Editor or VA Editor, whichever you are comfortable. So SSHD, I'm opening that file. So inside that file, somewhere you can see password authentication option will be there. Okay. So by default, that will be no. I think it will be selected. If you want to check that one, there is a slash option. I think slash won't work. If it is a VA editor, you can use slash option to check the content. In Nano editor, directly you can go to that particular content, and if you can see password no, password authentication no is selected by default. You have to make that as yes. Make that as yes. Okay, once you make that as yes, save the file. Control O, enter, Control X. Now my file got saved. But if you make some changes to the configuration file of that particular SSH service, you have to restart that service. For that, you can see the command service sshd restart. Once I restart the service, the new changes will get reflected. Okay, otherwise the changes won't reflected until your server get restarted. Okay, now my service got restarted. So what I can do now, I have to set some password for the Ubuntu user for this master server. Okay, why? Because we are going to set the password less authentication, but anyway, we need to have some password for that Ubuntu user. Okay, so how to set the password for the Ubuntu user? PASSWD. This is the command password followed by what is the user that you are going to set some password. Ubuntu. So I'm going to set some password for the Ubuntu user. It will ask to set some password. Okay, I'll be using test. Just enter the same password once again. Now my password got updated successfully, right? So now you can exit. Exit means from the root user, you will go to the from the root user, you can go to the Ubuntu user. If you can see, I went to the Ubuntu user, and inside the Ubuntu user, I want to go to my test path slash test path. Currently, I am there at slash test path. Okay, as a Ubuntu user, now I am going to do some activities. Currently, I am there at this path, right? Slash from exit, and I'll be going to test path. Inside the test path, uh, yeah, from Ubuntu and inside the test path, I am going to generate one key pair. Key pair means every time if you want to connect from one Linux server to another Linux server, as I told you, right, we need either username password based authentication or username key pair based authentication as required. So now we are doing username and key pair based authentication. For that, I am going to generate one key pair for my SSH for my Ubuntu user. Okay, so in order to generate a key pair, this is the command ssh-keygen in Linux. So ssh-keygen, if you enter, it will try to generate one key pair in default path of the Ubuntu user. What is the default path of the Ubuntu user? This is the home path /home/Ubuntu. Inside that .ssh folder, id underscore rsa. This is the file name that is going to create. If you can use enter, whether you want to set one more password that is called passphrase in order to create every time if you are creating a key pair, At the time, it will ask if you want to set one more passphrase kind of thing. It is kind of password, but I don't want that. Just keep enter and enter the same passphrase again. Just keep enter. Now, if you can see your public key and the respective private key got created in this path /home/ubuntu.ssh path. Okay. So now if you can go and if you can see that particular path where you can see two files got created, ls/home/ubuntu.ssh, and if you enter, you can see these two files now got created, id_rsa and id_rsa.pub. And there is one more file which is called authorized keys. Now, if you open that authorized keys file, okay, now I'm not there at that particular path, right? We have to use the complete path. /home/ubuntu.ssh/authorized keys file. You can see it has some content. What is this content? It is the public key of the Phanindra key pair that we have used earlier. So at the time of creation of an EC2 instance, we have selected the key pair as Phanindra, right? So that is nothing but we are telling AWS such that I want to use the Phanindra key pair. So at the time, what we'll do, AWS will keep the public key content of that key pair, Phanindra key pair. Public key will be maintained inside this location. So by default, we have created a Ubuntu server. Ubuntu server default username is Ubuntu. So the home path of the Ubuntu is /home/Ubuntu. So inside the .sh folder of that, there is a one file maintained that is called authorized keys file. So it will contain the public key of the key pair, which we are going to use while creating the EC2 instance. So because of maintaining this public key, so every time if you are connecting via putty, we are providing one ppk file, right? Phanindra.ppk file we are providing. That is the private key of the key pair. So it will try to match whether this public key and that private key both are the exact pair or not. Okay. So the public key and private key, both combination, we will call it as a key pair. If both are matched, if both is the exact pair, then only it will allow us to log in. Suppose if you make some change to any one of this content of this file, or if you make some change to the content of that ppk file which we have maintained in our download folder, it won't, you can't able to log into this server at all. Okay. So sometimes people will lost the key pair. Okay. So that private key pair will lost, they will lost at the time, uh, they can't able to log into the server. There are ways to log in. They have to replace this key with some other key by generating one more key. There are options are there. That is different topic. So in interviews also they may ask, suppose if the person lost the key, private key, how they can able to log into the server, how they can revoke the they can get the access to that particular server. That is very, very important question in AWS point of view, how we can get the access to the server which we lost the key. Definitely they'll ask the question, that one in AWS point of view. Okay, that is a different topic, but this is very important part. The public key content will be maintained inside the home path, inside the home path.sh folder. Inside that authorized keys file will be maintained, and it will maintain the public keys over this path, which are related to only Ubuntu user. Suppose if you see the root user, it has some different thing. Okay. So now I have the public key content. What I can do with this? Here you can see I have generated a key pair, my own key pair, which is called id_rsa and id_rsa.pub. So now I have to copy that id_rsa.pub content so that it will copy to this authorized keys file content. So with the help of this command, suppose if I execute this command, what it will do, it will try to copy that id_rsa we have seen, right? So, yeah. So if you see, so id_rsa.pub, these two files we have created just now with the help of this command sh keygen. So here we are generating our own key pair. This is called the public key. This is called the private key. So if we copy this public key content to this authorized keys file, so we can able to use this private key to connect to this user. Okay. So now I'm going to copy this content to this authorized key file. Directly you can open the file like this command also. Suppose slash home slash ubuntu dot ssh dot inside the ssh not authorized keys file, inside that id underscore rsa dot pub. So this is the content of the file. If you see the content, it also has this is the one public key content. This you can copy and you can open this authorized keys file and you can maintain over there. Okay, along with the existing key, you can don't replace that existing key. If you replace that, you will this terminal will be closed. The putty connection will be lost because you have connected with that. Okay, so you can keep that. Along with that, you can add this content also. Next time you can able to log in with this id underscore rsa private key. Okay, and it can able to make the connection with the help of Ansible also. This is the one way of copying. You can copy this content manually. You can go and add inside this file. That is the one way. But the other way is, you can see, this is the command in Linux if you want to copy the content. So ssh copy hyphen id. So which user you want to copy? I want to copy to Ubuntu user so that it will directly keep in slash home slash Ubuntu dot sh authorized keys file. Okay, if you use Ubuntu user. If you have some other user, you have to use that particular username. So at the time of copying, it will ask the password for the Ubuntu user. That's why we have set the password in advance. Okay. So now what is the IP to which server I want to copy? So to the same server. So that's why you can use this IP address 172.31. Don't use hyphens. Here it will display hyphens, but you have to use dots. 31.91.68. So now it will ask the confirmation yes or no. Yes. Once you provide yes, it will ask the password for that Ubuntu user. Earlier we have set some password. So I have set the password as test. Let me provide that. Once I provided that, you can see how many keys got added. One keys got added successfully. Now if you see the previous command, authorized keys file command is there, right? If you see that, now you have two keys instead of one. Earlier we have only one. See, one key is Phanindra key, the other keys which we have added just now. So now you can able to log into this machine with the help of this Phanindra.sh. This one also you can log in. Suppose if you have this respective private key with you, currently it is there inside this machine only, but if you maintain that file outside, you can log in with this key also. Any one of these keys will be helpful to log into this machine. Now this one we are using to log in via putty, and this one we are using to log in or to check the connectivity from the Ansible. Okay, from the Ansible, from same server, by using this uh, key pair, we are connecting. Now you can check this connectivity. Ansible-hi host. Earlier this command not worked, right? But now this command should work. Let me try to type. Forget. Sorry. Copy. See now, it is connecting. If it is connecting, it will show in green color. Okay, so green color, the server it can able to connecting. This is how it will look like. So now we have made the connectivity properly. Now my Ansible master server is ready. Okay. So till this point, you have to do the configuration in order to work your master properly. So now my Ansible master server is ready. Now we will quickly create one node server also, because at least we need one node. Tomorrow class, maybe we can create one more node if requires, but at least we need one node. For that, I'll create one node server also. So for that, you can launch one more node one or client one, same Ubuntu server. Let me quickly go to my EC2 and I will launch one more server. Node 1, Ubuntu, And inside the Ubuntu, let me try to use some 18.1, which we have maintained the documentation. But you can try the latest one also, it should work. The key pair is Findra one. Rest of the things looks good. Just launch an instance. So wait for some time. Once my instance, node one instance comes into running state. Once it is comes to running state, what we have to do? Here you can find the documentation. So once your node one is comes up, you can switch to the root user by using this command. And then earlier we have changed some configuration file of the SSH, right? Same file, you can make that password authentication as no will be there by default. You can set that as yes, and you can restart the service, SSH service, and then you can set some password for your Ubuntu user. And you doesn't require to install Ansible on the node server, but you need to have Python in that. Why? Because Ansible is developed in Python language. So your Ansible master, if it needs to be connected to the node server, means you need to have Python. So for that, you are updating the packages and then you are installing the Python. So once you install the Python and once you make this configuration setup, then you can copy the in master we have generated one key pair right earlier. That key pair you can copy from your master server. Go to your master server, use this command earlier we used ssh copy id, so Ubuntu. So here instead of using your master IP, you can copy the node IP. So means that from your master, you are copying that public key to the node server directly. To node server, which user? Ubuntu user. So inside the node server, it will try to keep that one in slash home slash Ubuntu dot ssh inside that authorized keys file. It will try to keep the content so that my master server can always reach the node server. For that purpose, we are copying the public key content of that server from the master server to the node server. So once it is done, you can add the node IP to the host file inside my master server. These two things. One is you have to copy that public key content from the master server to the node server, and then you have to add that node IP in the inside the inventory file. Once these two things are done, you have done this setup. You can check that Ansible connectivity. It can able to connect to the two servers. One is master server and the node server also it can able to connect. Let's see whether my server is up or not. Yeah, now my server is up. Let's connect to that server. Copy. Let me open one more putty. So for this one also, Ubuntu is the default user. So now my Ubuntu server is up, right? Node server is up. So let me switch to the root user. So sudo su hyphen. So I have switched to the root user. What I have to do, if you can see the documentation, second server. Let me try to open the second server, which is node server. So what I have to do in my node server, first I have to change that configuration. Okay, so go to nano slash etc ssh sshd underscore config file. So if you open that and if you scroll down to the bottom, somewhere you can see password authentication as no will be there. Make that as yes. If it doesn't make this, it won't ask you to enter the password somewhere while copying the key and all. So it doesn't work for you. So Control O, enter Control X. Now my file got changed, but if you, in order to reflect the changes immediately, so we have to restart that service. So that service, service name, restart command. Service name will be sshd restart. So once it is got restarted, now you can create one key pair. Sorry, you can create one key pair is not required. Only one time creation of the key pair that is in master. Now I have to set the password for my Ubuntu user inside the node machine. So password Ubuntu. So here I am setting some different password, test1 instead of test. Now my password got updated, right? So now you have to install Ansible for that. Sorry, you have to install Python. It doesn't require to install Ansible, but on node machines you have to install Python because Ansible got developed in Python. So apt-get update. So Ansible was developed by HashiCorp company. HashiCorp, that is famous. Ansible, this Terraform is there, right? Terraform, all these things are developed by that HashiCorp company. Vault, there are different good products are there from that. So all are from HashiCorp. Apt-get install
Sorry if I
Python.
correct me wrong. I thought Ansible is
Yeah,
developed by Red Hat. Am I right?
no, I think Ansible, this Vault and this Terraform, all these things are from
Oh, HashiCorp. Oh, okay.
HashiCorp. Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll cross check. But these three products I can see are from them. But I'll correct.
Okay.
So now I'm trying to install Python and Pip so that my Ansible master can able to connect with this node machine. It can able to understand the playbooks that we are going to write and all once we have the Python. So once it is done, what we have to do, I have to go to my Ansible master server. This is my master server, and inside the master, I need to copy the uh, public key content. So let it get completed, the node installation. Yeah, now it is done. You can see. So now I'm going to copy the key pair. So for that, the command is ssh copy id. Username in node machine is also Ubuntu @ node IP. So this one, 172.31, 91.90. So it will be asking the password, but don't enter the password of this master server because we are trying to copy the key to the node server because we need the permission from the node server, right? That's why the node one Ubuntu user password we have to enter test1. Once you provided that properly, you will get one key got added. You can verify that by logging to the node server. This is my node server. Cat dash home user, right? Home path of that one will be /home/ubuntu ssh dot authorized keys file. So if you can see along with this Fanindra key, now in my node server also, the other key, public key content got copied. Now my master server can able to connect to this one easily. How we can check that connectivity, whether it is happening or not? Directly you can try to log in from here to there also. Suppose I am there, this 9168, this is my Ansible master, right? SSH. I want to log in as a Ubuntu user @ this IP directly you can copy. It doesn't ask any password. It doesn't ask any other key pair. Directly from here to there you can log in. 172.31.91.19, right? So if you enter, see now I have been logged into that node server 9190 from my master server. Okay, so this is how it is able to connect without any username and password. Right now, you just username we provided and IP address we provided. So like this, Ansible also will be communicating to this node server without any password because we have copied that key pair. Okay, so now if you click on exit, so it will be comes back to your Ansible master server. So now I'm there and Ansible master server. So now you can check the connectivity. So you are able to log into the server means from the Ansible also you should able to connect. So you can check this command, Ansible -i. But before checking that command, you have to use that. Let me first check this command. I have to check this in my Ansible master, right? This is my Ansible node. This is my Ansible master. 9168 is my master. But if you can see this command, inside the host file, You are setting all, but you have given only your Ansible master IP. That's why it is reaching only one server, right? So what you can do, you can update that file, nano slash test slash host file. Okay, I think I logged in as a Ubuntu user. As a Ubuntu user, I can't able to edit that file. Control X. So let me use sudo nano, or you can switch to the root user and you can update that file. So now you can see here only one IP, which is my master IP maintained over there. Now I'm trying to add one more. But before adding that one, I'll be giving some other group to identify easily which is node and which is something. So now inside nodes, I'll maintain this IP address 172.31.91.19. Let me control O, enter, control X. So my file got saved. So now if you execute the same previous command, it should reach both servers, my Ansible master and my Ansible node. See, this is my node 91.19 and this is my master 91.68. So just this is a ping module which we are using to check the connectivity, whether we are able to connect or not. So once it is working fine, then you can do whatever you want. Suppose let's say I want to create one user in my node 1 without logging to node 1. Okay, but I'll keep this node 1 open to validate whether it is created or not. So that validation also we can do it from the master server. Okay, some of the ad hoc commands we will execute, some playbooks writing and all everything we will discuss in tomorrow's session. So at least some ad hoc commands we will execute now because we have established the connectivity from my master to the node server, right? These are some ad hoc commands I have maintained. So how to write an ad hoc command? First, Ansible. So you have to give that inventory path location. Hyphen I means inventory. And what is the location of that one? Hyphen A means ad hoc file, ad hoc command. Okay. So if you know some modules, you can use the module. For that, you can use hyphen M. Suppose if it is not a module, if it is some command, Linux related command, then you can use hyphen A. Suppose if config, it is one of the Linux command. Okay. So uptime, it is one of the Linux command. Similarly, cat space slash etc password means I want to open that particular path. So for these Linux commands checking, you can use hyphen A, and any of the Ansible modules, you can use hyphen A. Okay. So let me try to check this one. Suppose first I'll check this if config command manually in my 9119. This is my node. Um, this is my Ansible master. Let me use if config command normal, how it will look like. So if I use if config command, it will give some information which is about some networking related information. Okay. In my node server, sorry, in my master server. So with the help of Ansible, how I can able to execute this command? Because I want to see this network related information of the node 1. Okay. So how I can able to do that part? For that, Ansible hyphen I host. So inside the host, whether suppose I want to execute my Linux command, right? For that hyphen A. So if it is only one word, it doesn't require to provide double quotes also. Suppose at least if it has two words kind of thing, better to give some double quote. So now only one command if config. So let me try to use if config followed by, if I want to directly give the domain, sorry, node IP, that is also possible. First, let me try to give the node IP directly. See, instead of giving that uh, group name or instead of using all, I can directly provide the node IP also 172.31.91.19. So this node server, I want to check this Linux command. What is the output that I am going to get? See, this is the output that I'll get on my node server. If you want, you can cross check. See, 172.91, 172.31, 91, 19. So if you can execute that same command over here and you can see the output, both will be matched. Something like that. Okay. So similarly, suppose now if I want to execute the same command instead of for one IP, I have created a group, right, which is called nodes. But inside the nodes group, only one node is there. Instead of IP address, you can use that nodes also. See, if I use nodes also, I'm getting. So inside the host file, I have maintained a group name called nodes, and inside the nodes, I maintain that node IP. Similarly, instead of nodes, if I use all, then all the IP addresses which are there inside the host file, it will give the output. See, after I execute this all command, so it is giving for 192.91.19.19, and along with that, it is giving for the master server also. So like this, you can able to get you can execute any Linux commands. So suppose let's say uptime, how much time my server is up and running. Any one of the node server, if you want to check, you can do that part. So let me try to execute some sample commands. Here instead of if config, I want to check the uptime of the server. If you can see 1919, this is my node server, which is up last 15 minutes. But 9168, this is my master server, which is up last 44 minutes. Suppose if you want to see how many users are there, users you can able to see inside this path, /etc/password path. Let me go and execute that command. Inside this one, I want to open cat/etc/password. This is the path where you can see all the users history, but I want to see for only nodes, only my node server. Content, whatever you are going to execute, whatever you are going to see there, that will get displayed over here. So you can install some packages, lot of things that you can do. We are going to, but if it is a very simple one command kind of execution where you can do that part. But if you want to create a user, if you want to execute install some package, for all those things, you have to better to write one. See, if I want to create a user kind of thing, there is a user module is there. You can use that module -hi host, and this all it doesn't require to maintain at the end. You can maintain wherever you want. So -hi all -i the inventory path location all followed by the module name -m user module is there. For that user module, it requires some arguments. So that arguments here you can pass -a name equals to some username, password equals to something. Like that you have to provide something. But whenever you are using -m modules kind of thing, at the time you have to use -b in the end of the command. So let me try to use this one also. We can able to check whether that particular user got created or not. So currently, if you can see, only Ubuntu user is there, right, on the node mission. But after executing this command, sorry, it is copied. If you can copy something like this, if I can select without executing Control C, it will automatically get copied in this terminal. Let me copy once again. So now I'm trying to execute on all the servers. I'm going to use the user module. So user module, I'm going to create one test user which has this password. Okay, let me execute. Once I executed, you can see it is created the user. Okay, it is created the user. If you want to see the previous command is there, right? So that whether the user is created or not with this command on the node server, I'm checking. If you check on both, it should create the user by this time. See, earlier only Ubuntu user is there. Now one more user, test user is also get created. So this is how, suppose if I want to delete that user, same command, -m user, -a username, followed by, there is one parameter, one argument is there, state equals to opsend. If you present that one, the user will get deleted automatically. But how to know what arguments that we want to use and all? For that, you have to go to Ansible modules in the internet. Let me try to go to that one and we will close our today's session. Ansible modules, if I can see, docs.ansible.com website, and inside that all modules link is there. Here you can find all the modules. But for now, what I will do is try to see the user module. It will be difficult to get like this. It will be arranged in an alphabetical order. Better to go to that user module directly. USC. Yeah. See, user module. This is the one module. So if you can open that module, where you can see what options that we can able to provide for that user module. Just I'll be giving one module example so that you can reuse the module. There are a lot depending on the use case. If you can see, these many parameters are supported. So one is name parameter. What is the name of the username that we have used already? This is the name parameter. You have to provide some string value, which is required means definitely you have to provide this one. Rest of some parameters, these all are optional. But if it is maintained as required with red color, you have to use that parameter for sure. Whenever you use this module, user module, the name should be mandatory. Okay, so rest of the things, if any of these things are required is there, that you have to use. But rest of the things I don't see anywhere required option, right? So only that name option will be mandatory. Suppose if you are setting the password, but you are not setting the password in advance, then just it will create the user, but you can set the password later also. Suppose if you are updating the password, there is update password option is there. So like that, there are a lot of options are there. What that option will indicate also, they have given some description. Okay, and what are the choices that you can provide? Suppose let's say choices yes or no is there. Whether you want to provide yes or no, and if you doesn't provide, what will be the default value? I think the green colored one will be the default value if it doesn't provide anything. You know, the default one will be yes. Yeah, here right side they maintain whether what will be the default value if it doesn't provide something and all they maintain. If you can go through this one where you can clearly understand how to use the variables and all. So inside this documentation also, I have tried to use one time name and the password arguments are used for the user module. Next time, the user is already created, right? I'm trying to delete the user. For that, state argument is there. State argument, if equals to present, then the user is going to create. State of argument, if it is absent, the user is going to delete the existing user. I want to delete. Instead of delete, here they have maintained the parameter state equals to absent. Okay, it is delete all the users. You can execute the command and you can validate whether the user got deleted or not. Okay, so this is how you can able to execute some ad hoc commands in the Ansible. Okay, next session we will see how the playbooks and all. We can write these playbooks, some big user creation, multiple user creation at a time. Okay, so all those things that we can see. In tomorrow's session, we will explain how we can create some playbooks, what is meant by roles and how to create roles. That part we can cover in tomorrow's session. Any doubts till now? I will stop these two for now. We can start tomorrow. Any questions? I'll stop the recording.
No, Fernando. Actually, I started working on Ansible Tower, but it's
Okay. That's
completely
very.
different.
Thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe.